We've done a lot of coding and game design thus far, but I'd say it's about time we move on to the game design aspect of this class. So I'm going to show you what we're building towards right here. We're going to be using GameMaker, and this game is called Evil Clutches. Don't be scared, it's okay. I'm going to show you what the game looks like. We can shoot fireballs at enemies. If you look up at the top of the window, I'm adding to my score with each enemy I defeat. I can collect those little monsters to rescue them. Of course I'm cheating by going off the screen, but that's how I designed the game, so... Oh, I hit a baby by accident. That's how I designed the game, so that's how I'm going to play it. Okay, so this boss character keeps spawning demons, they're called. I can shoot them. And eventually, I get hit and it displays my top score. Alright. And I can close out of that. So we're going to be making this game from the ground up with the sprites, with the, we're going to be creating objects, we're going to be controlling their directions, we're going to be doing all that good stuff. All that stuff for the price of none, actually. So, there are a few things we need to know first. I'm just going to go into a brand new game. We need to know what sprites are, and we need to know what objects are, and the differences between them. The sprites are 2D flat images, or I prefer to say flat 2D images, in that order. You can say in any order though, but they are flat 2D images that we're going to use for our game. So sprites can't rotate 360 degrees, they can only face one way or the other. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create the sprites I need. It's a little bit misleading though, because we're not actually going to be creating or drawing. We're going to be setting up the sprites we'll be using in our game with pre-made images. So it brings up this box. It is customary to name them in this format. So I'll just call this Sprite Dragon. So this is how we're going to be naming things, not with spaces, but with what's called an underscore. And I have the word sprite here to indicate that it's a sprite. Although you can tell that it's listed underneath the sprites section, but we're beginners here, so we just want to make sure. I'm going to click load sprite because I have all these pre-made. I'm going to load the dragon sprite. You notice that this box is checked. It says remove background. If that's not checked, we're going to make sure it is, because we don't want that blue background there. And there we go. Click OK. So we quote unquote created the sprite. Now I'm going to go and create some more. I'll call this sprite boss. The boss character is this, the thing that moves up and down. I'm going to go ahead and click that. You can see its wings are moving because it's made up of more than one image. And these images just play one after another on a loop. Click OK. And that's good for now. So what is an object? An object is something in the game that can behave in different ways and interact with other things in the game. So whereas a sprite is purely a flat 2D image, an object has properties, it can interact with other objects, it can be controlled, it can do stuff rather than just be a picture for us to look at. In this case, the objects are going to be seen via the sprites. So we are going to use the sprites to make these objects visible. So let me just show you what I mean. So I'm going to go up to resources and then create object. I'm going to have an object for each of these things in my game. So an object for the dragon and an object for the boss. I'm going to click this button to set the sprite, the dragon sprite, as the sprite for this object. So right now they look identical, but we're not going to be able to just control a picture or shoot fireballs with a picture. We're going to have to do that with an object, and that object is going to make use of that sprite. So hopefully now you can see a difference. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to create another object. I'm going to call it object boss. Give it the boss sprite. Click OK. So I've created my two objects now. So now I just want to double click the dragon object and do some stuff here. We're going to be working with events. things that happen in the game. If I click the Add Event button, I can determine what's going to happen and when in this game. So when my character, because this is the character I'm playing as, the dragon, when my character is in the game, I'm going to want it to be able to move, right? So I'm going to want to be able to press a direction on the keyboard, like up, and then move up, right? Up for up, down for down. So when I press up on the keyboard, I'm going to want to drag in a move action here. So the action is what happens during an event. Now, the items or the boxes in this menu have to do with movement. See, hence it being called move. We have a lot of different categories here, but let's just focus on the move tab for now. I'm going to drag in move fixed, meaning I'm moving in a fixed direction, one direction. I'm going to be moving up, and I'll just set it to 16. That's a good speed. Okay, start moving in a direction. And now when I press down on the keyboard, I'm going to move down, check off that arrow, 16. Okay. I'm ready to control my character, but I need a room to put it in because the game's not going to work now. I have no room or level, if you want to call it that. I'm going to call it room though. So I'm going to go to resources, create room. I'm going to scroll down to zoom out a little bit. Here's my room right here. We can change the size of this grid, but I'm not going to. We don't need to mess with that for this game. I'm going to go to settings and then just call it room first. Of course, it's my only room. And then the caption for the room that will appear up here is just the name of the game. Leave the width and height alone. Leave everything alone. I'm going to go to objects, and this is the only object. Actually, no, it's not. I created two. I'm going to select the dragon as my object and just click anywhere to put it in. Be careful not to click too many times because we can keep putting in objects. I'm just going to hold Control and then right click to delete these. I can hold Control and left click to drag one I've already placed. Okay, be sure to put it inside the room. That's very important. Click the check mark to exit the room. And now I can run the game. Oh boy. Oh, look at this. I'm actually letting go of up and down, but it's still going. So we need to determine what happens when I'm not pressing any key. At first it's not moving, but once I press a key, it's going to move up or down forever until I press another key. So that's not good. Oh look, you can see the video I'm recording right now. Okay, so we need to make a change to this dragon object. I'm going to go to Add Event, Keyboard, and there's an option for no key. So if I'm not pressing any key, then I'll drag in Move Fixed. Click this middle button, which means we're not moving anywhere. Leave the speed at 0. Click OK. OK again. And there we go. I'm letting go of the key, after each time. And the sprites animate perfectly, and we are good. Okay, so I'm going to do the boss object now. I'm going to have that move up and down automatically. So I'm going to go to Add Event, and, well, we're not controlling the enemy here. Let's think about it this way. Right when the boss appears on the screen, we want it to move up. We'll say up. And if it reaches the end of the screen, it will reverse direction and go back down. So just think of it like that. So when the boss appears on the screen, when we think of something first appearing on the screen, we want to go to the Create event. So the boss is appearing on the screen as soon as the game starts. Because as soon as the game starts, it's moving up and down. So when you think of as soon as something appears on the screen, that means we want to select create. It's being created on the screen. It just so happens that it's being created the moment the game is being run. So that's what create means. When something first appears on the screen. Or first appears in the game, however you want to word it. But this thing's going to move automatically. We're going to have move fixed. We'll just have it go up. Go speed of 8. And there we go. However, when the boss touches the top of the screen, we want it to move back down. And conversely, when it touches the bottom, we want it to move back up. So how do we do that? Well, there happens to be an event for that. And it's in the other category. We want intersect boundary. This covers both things. And there's a move action here for reverse vertical. Click OK. So when it touches the edge of the screen, when it touches the boundary, it's going to reverse its vertical direction. So when the boss is created, as in when it first appears on the screen, it's going to start moving up. When it touches the edge of the screen, it's going to reverse its vertical direction. Meaning, if it's going up, it's going to move down, and if it hits the bottom, it's going to move up again. Click OK. And if I play the game right now, it will be no different than how it was before because I didn't actually add the boss to the room. Okay, see how it's already chosen? We need to make sure it's fully in the room. If we place it all the way in the edge, it's actually not going to work properly. So we want to make sure it's fully inside. And let's see how it goes. And it works perfectly. So here's our game so far. So these are the few steps to the game Evil Clutches. I'm going to be going over more steps, and we will accomplish more things in the very near future. But we know what sprites are, flat 2D images. We know what objects are. They are parts of the game that have their own properties and can trigger events that lead into actions. Speaking of those, an event is anything that can occur within the game, whether we're pressing a keyboard or a key on the keyboard, whether we are colliding with another object, as we'll get to soon, whether we're touching the edge of the screen, or whether the object is simply just appearing. Any one of those is an event. And an event can trigger an action. Actions would be moving in a direction. Actions could be reversing the direction we are currently moving in, like either vertically or horizontally. Or actions can be adding to our score, which we'll do later on, or setting the number of lives we have, or increasing or reducing our health. Not all of these things will apply to this game, but all of those things are examples of actions.